Well, a landmark Australian study has found diets high in protein and low in carbohydrates, like the Atkins diet, could make you unhealthy eventually and more likely to die younger. The 3-year study at Sydney's ANZAC Research Institute found that while high protein diets might make you slimmer and feel more attractive, the best diet for longevity is one low in protein and high in carbohydrates. Professor of Geriatric Medicine David Couteur was part of the team which modified the diets of 900 mice, and he joins me now. David Couteur, welcome. This might be a bit of a wake-up call for a lot of people. What made you decide to look at this particular area?
You're right, it will be a wake-up call, and we're interested in looking at what a balanced, healthy diet actually is. And the mice were fed one of 25 diets, varying in fat, carbohydrate and protein and energy. And the results were really unequivocal. The animals on the low protein, high carbohydrate diets lived the longest and had the best health, whereas the high protein diets, the high fat diets and the low energy diets were all associated with shorter lifespan and worse health.
Can you extrapolate that for humans in terms of a percentage increase in or decrease in life expectancy?
The variation in life expectancy between the worst diets and the best diets was 100 to 150 weeks, so we're talking about a 50% variation in lifespan. Obviously, we can't extrapolate data from mice to humans, but what we do know from a lot of human studies is that low protein, high protein, low carbohydrate diets have been associated with poorer health, poorer cardiovascular outcomes, more diabetes and shorter lifespans.
Yeah, and so you can't say if that would necessarily mean you'd live 10 years less if you are on these diets for the rest of your life or anything like that.
We can't extrapolate from mice to humans, but human data definitely indicates that there's a reduction in life expectancy with people that have lifelong high protein diets.
Yeah. And what's the extent of the difference between these diets? When you say high protein, low carb, are they really extreme examples or just your regular diets you're talking about?
We varied our diets from about 5% protein up to nearly 60% protein, so they were extreme diets. But other studies in humans have found that people that eat less than 10% protein compared to people that eat more than 20% protein, you're still able to see mortality effects.
And have you got any theories as to why?
Oh, we definitely do. The effect is mediated via blood levels of something called branched-chain amino acids. The animals on the low protein diets had lower levels of branched-chain amino acids, and these are famous because they're what bodybuilders take to make themselves more buff. But the downside of branched-chain amino acids is they do activate a variety of pathways that are bad for ageing, for example, insulin.
Yeah. And yeah, as you said at the beginning, this would be a wake-up call for a lot of people because there are a lot of people out there who are of a mind to have these high-protein diets because it helps make you look good in the short term.
Yeah, and we found that with the mice. The mice that were on the high-protein diets were
They were
skinnier.
good-looking mice.
They weren't good-looking, but they were skinnier, and they had more muscle mass. I guess it depends what you want. If you want to be thinner and be more buffed, then the high-protein diets are the way to go. If you want to live a longer life and avoid disease, then the low-protein diets are definitely the way to go.
And it sounds like you were pretty surprised at how clear the results were on this.
We were surprised, but we knew from data in other animals, for example insects, that the same trend was seen, that the insects on low protein diets tend to live longer than the ones on high protein diets. So it seems to be a universal finding.
Yeah. And so what are the clear messages that people can take from this, or does a lot more work need to be done in this area to confirm your findings?
I think there's a wealth of human data. Our animal data has provided the mechanisms and made things convincing to indicate to people that if they want to have a longer, healthier life, then a low-protein, high-carbohydrate diet is the way to go.
Yeah, and for lay people at home, what is the definition of a low protein, high carbohydrate diet? What should you be limiting your protein to? And instead of putting it in percentages, can you say you should only be having kind of like 3 steaks a week or something like that?
What we know from human studies is people that have less than 10% of their diet as protein have better health outcomes. There is another twist in this as well, that we found because of the branched-chain amino acids that vegetarian protein is probably better for the health, and we certainly know from human studies that those people that are vegetarian have longer lives and better cardiovascular outcomes. So avoiding meat-based animal protein is part of the recommendation.
Yep, and so are vegetable proteins okay? That you can eat as much vegetable protein as you want and not have these effects that you're talking about?
That's the conclusion you could draw for the human studies. Our mice were just given animal protein.
Right.
We didn't test vegetarian versus Atkins diet in our mice.
Yeah. Okay. Some really interesting findings there. Great to talk to you, David Couteur. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Joe.